thinking about the question of why there aren't more people of color and or people of African descent in our communes, at least the ones that I hang around with. And I think that what you start out with, because word of mouth is the biggest thing, really strongly determines who's going to live in the commune. And like this community didn't have any people of color when it first started, and people like me who come sometimes is because, you know, we've gone off somewhere to college and gotten in this social situation that's mostly white people. And so coming here is not so uncomfortable. And then the things, some of the things that, you know, about how it is like that we don't accept, at least in this community, very many children, is kind of, well, certainly for black women that I know who have been interested is a big negative, because they often have a child if they're over 25. And so that's one thing. And the clean thing, at least among people I know, is more of an issue. And then other things like, oh, I'll think about some of the people I know that I used to think I'll bring more black people or other people of color, because I used to be on this committee of the National Association for Women's Studies, and so I, you know, have friends who are Latina or other Chinese friends or whatever, and I invite them to come and visit. And people are interested in their careers. You know, they're perfectly willing to income share, but they don't want to make hammocks. So, one of my friends, she's a lawyer and her husband's a professor in anthropology. He gets offered a job at UVA. She says, that's so great, we can move to Twin Oaks. They come to visit. People love them, they're fabulous. Guess what? They say, but you can't live here and have an outside job. Okay, that's one. I have another friend. This is another friend from DC. But she had 4 kids. However, her youngest child was 18. She wrote a visitor letter. They said, nobody could move here who has 4 kids. They never, you know, she said she was like 48. Nobody thought to ask her how old her kids were. She was so offended by just that she didn't continue the correspondence, you know, and stuff like that. You know, just about our culture and how flexible or not we are. There's this commune goddess in New York that has had a much wider range of people who've been members over time, but still, it tends to be more like Jewish, because it's New York. But you know, they have had a lot of people from different countries and a lot of black people be members for a while, much more so than say here. But I think it's because they're there in the city and they socialize and hang out with and know more people from a wider, so that flow through of people's friends and stuff is more multicultural, and so their commune is. As I said, when I first lived here, you know, I just spent a lot of time with, you know, being actively involved in mostly women of color groups. And just so I didn't just hang around with the people who lived here only. And over the years, I sort of thought, you know, people just don't like it here. And you never can tell how these crazy hippies are what they're gonna say to somebody. And I could stop trying to, you know, get people to live here, because I didn't think it was gonna work out very well. And so, you know, I feel like it's my dysfunctional family. Like the communist in that particular way. And I don't know what, well, you know, you ask about, you know, gay men. Like one of my best friends and his partner, you know, I've tried to get them to, well, he wanted to live here. We met here. We were visitors together, actually. And, you know, but they just like think they just can't live someplace where there's so few gay people. And they joke with me. They said, see, it happens to you. You came to this commune and got to be straight. and it is. It's easy to slip into, especially, you know, because I tend to choose men as partners anyway, to just like get comfortable with this, if that's how it is. So, I don't know. I don't know what it would take to change this joint in those ways. I really don't. Other than, you know, a lot of people joining at the same time. Like at one point we had, like when I first lived here, about, I think how many, probably 20% of the women were lesbian or pretty strongly bi. And that kind of slowly slipped away, you know, and now it's a very small number.